So the decision is exclusively a decision of Gilbert Licudi. He and I have been talking since last Monday about the re-evaluation that he has made and the decision that he has made. And it's a question of Cabinet accepting that decision, as I have. And when people make a decision which is for good, solid, personal reasons, it's unfair to try and interfere with that. And I know Gilbert Licudi well enough to know that he's a man who knows his mind. He is not going to come to me on a whimsy to try and get me to persuade him fishing for compliments. This is a man who knows exactly what he's doing, why he's doing it, and this has been the great value that he has brought to government. So it's a huge blow to the government to see Gilbert Licudi go. He goes as a friend, not as a result of any disagreement. He stays on the backbenchers, on the government backbenchers, and I know that he still has a lot to contribute to politics in Gibraltar, to the GSLP, and to the government from the government backbenchers.
Why didn't you go to a by-election?
So look, there's no question of an individual having to relinquish his seat simply because he or she decides to relinquish responsibility, ministerial responsibility, or shadow ministerial responsibility. I think the argument is stronger if you leave a political party. People might say, well, look, you were elected with the votes of a political party, even though the seat is personal. In this instance, you haven't got any of that. Gilbert Licudi is staying in the party. In fact, I've said in my prepared remarks that I think the government's loss is the party's gain, because Gilbert will be able to do more within the party. And it's a matter for the executive committee of the GSLP, and I'm talking to you as the chief minister now, not as the leader of the GSLP, and Gilbert to determine what happens with that seat. I'm going to be very supportive of Gilbert keeping that seat because I think he brings a lot to the equation at this stage. In particular, as Chief Minister, what I would tell you, and as Leader of the House, what I would tell you, is that given the autumn that we are facing and the issues that we are facing, Gibraltar doesn't need to go to the ballot box. What we need to do is put Brexit in its box and deal with it. We need to put COVID in its box and deal with it, and not be distracted with voting or any of those issues at this stage.
So you're saying that Gilbert Licudi will now be a backbencher. What does this mean in terms of his role going forward?
So he'll be an ordinary member of the Parliament. The only difference that you will see is that he will be sitting on the government side to the left of the Speaker as you look to him, but in fact to the right of the Speaker. And he'll be able to ask questions of the government in the same way as any other member. He'll be able to put motions, which will then be members' motions rather than government motions. And the difference is that government motions take priority in time over members' motions. He'll be able to contribute in any debate in the Parliament on legislation or on any motion, etc., and form a full part of the parliamentary debate, but he'll be doing so from the government benches.
Mr Licudi, if I could first of all ask you why you've taken this significant decision.
Well, this is of course a sad day in many ways. For me, it is a decision that I have taken with a very heavy heart, but it is a purely personal decision. Everybody knows that being in politics, being in frontline politics, being in the government involves a great deal of personal sacrifice. It is something I have been doing for almost 9 years. I had done it already for 8 years, and I knew exactly what I was getting into in the last elections in 2019. But for me, COVID has changed things. It has changed my perspective. It has changed my outlook. It has changed my priorities, family time, quality of life, and return to legal practice as a lawyer are now my priorities. And it is not an easy decision to take, but I think it was the honest decision and the right thing for me to do.
So why didn't you vacate your seat? Was that an option for you?
It is not something that I considered myself as an option. I've been with the GSLP for 36 years. I've been a member of Parliament since 2007, but I'm very, very conscious that the seat I gained on a GSLP ticket. I was elected by or selected by the GSLP executive to form part of the election slate, and I owe it to the executive to put it to them for the executive to decide what happens. My intention is to stay in Parliament as a backbencher on the government benches. That is something that I have discussed with the Chief Minister. He also agrees, but ultimately we need to have a discussion at party level, and I will respect whatever decision is made by the party on that.